Okay, all of the examples so far have been sort of fairly serious real life examples of how to use Node-RED for different automation things with Seqera platform. But for a bit of fun, I thought I'd do a silly one and I'd make it just as silly as possible. I think I mentioned in the introduction that I came across Node-RED by using Home Assistant, which is an open source system for doing home automation stuff in your house. I'm a bit of a geek and a nerd, no surprises there, and I like playing around with smart light switches and Internet of Things, connected things. So I got into Home Assistant, actually, I think from Evan, the CEO of Seqera, a few years ago. I have a little Raspberry Pi sat in my sitting room over there. Maybe put in a little video showing what it looks like. Nothing special. And that's running Home Assistant on there the whole time and controlling different things in my house. This is the Home Assistant website here. It's all free and open source. And I have a plugin for Home Assistant called Add-on Node-RED, which runs Node-RED in my Home Assistant server. It also adds in some custom nodes to work with Home Assistant entities so that you can kind of control stuff through Home Assistant through Node-RED. And I've been using this for like 4 or 5 years now. And this is where I got the idea for all the stuff with Seqera platform. So over on the left, we've got Node-RED running there and looks exactly the same as all the other videos. But in this case, I'm actually running on my own Raspberry Pi server. And it's within Node-RED, so within Home Assistant, sorry. So you've got all the Home Assistant stuff here and it's just within a frame. Okay, what can we do with this? The fun thing is we can connect to all the devices in my house and make them react to stuff that's going on the Seqera platform. That's kind of what I've been trying to get across. You can automate anything. You could use this kind of setup to work with lab equipment or anything. And so in this case, I've just sort of gone and thought of the most ridiculous setup I can possibly think of. So let's look at the workflow. Firstly, we've got 2 different ways to trigger this. We've got a Stream Deck button, which I'm going to show you in a second. It's like a little device I have on my desk with some buttons on and can shortcut them. And if I press that, it launches a workflow. And I also have a node here, which I actually ended up creating specifically for this demo, but I think it will be quite useful, which polls workflows, which basically just checks Seqera platform the whole time to see if anything new has been submitted from systems outside of Node-RED. And so if you create a workflow by some other way, it will pick it up and then you can do things with it and monitor it. Both of those feed into this monitor workflow. This is nothing particularly new here. And then every time we get an update of the status of the pipeline, it comes out of this wire. Then success comes out of this one and failures come out of this one. The every single check, that goes into a little function node here, which is some custom JavaScript. Pretty simple. Basically, it looks at the message.workflow status, so the status of the workflow as it is right now. And then it also checks what the last status was when it last checks. And if it hasn't changed, it just doesn't do anything. It just returns null. But if it has changed, it sets up a little payload, a JSON object here, where it sets some brightness percentage to 100, and then it sets the color, and it does hex to RGB. And so it sets these different color values according to the status. You'll see why this is going to be useful in a second. And then it also just passes on the workflow object, so it can be used downstream. By the way, if you are curious about how I got this to show with just the icon and not the text there, make it a bit tidier, it's in here, appearance. And you can do this for any Node-RED node. You click on appearance, you can change the icon and stuff if you want, and you can untick that. So you say hide or show on the label. And that's why it doesn't have any text here. Small thing. Okay, so we've got a payload here about a light color, where we say in Home Assistant, use the action turn on, and I've got 2 lights on my desk, which you'll see in a minute. Turn them on. And also we are setting the payload here, the data. So that's where the color and the percentage comes in. Cool. So I'm going to turn the lights on. What else do I do? Here we go. If the workflow status is succeeded or failed, then go to those outputs. So this is a switch status, which basically says ignore anything that's running or submitted. So it only lets things through which has succeeded or failed. Another little function here, which just does a bunch of loops basically, and just kind of does a timed loop. And then that's for each one of those timed loops, it triggers this event. Which I think you can probably guess what this is going to do. It does light.toggle, so it turns lights on and off. And again, there's a few lights in my office here. And then this only runs on success. Little set payload again, and then that sends this. And this node is Node-RED node. So what this does, I've set it to send a post HTTP request to this URL. And it's taking the message payload object automatically, which I've set here, which is type mega. You'll see why. And that's all. So it's just going to send an HTTP post request. That's going to a local IP on my service is how the lengths I've gone to for this demo. I hope you appreciate it. And you can see I've actually got a custom little node server running locally, which listens on that node. So Node-RED will fire a post request to this URL, and this is a server running on my local computer, which is listening to that. And the reason it does that, then it can trigger activities on my computer. And this is the only way I could really get Home Assistant to do stuff on my computer on my behalf. And it does that via Raycast, which is really cool. You should use Raycast if you're on a Mac, I think. It's really nice. So I use it to search Chrome tabs, for example, or all kinds of other things, search GIFs. And one of the things that Raycast can do is it has a little confetti effect. So we're going to fire some confetti using Raycast. And then finally, Home Assistant can push notifications to devices. So I'm also going to get a push notification on my phone, which you won't be able to see, but I'll feel on my watch and stuff. And that's something I actually use loads on Home Assistant, like to tell me when stuff is happening or when things are broken or whatever. I could do all kinds of things also. With a Home Assistant app, you can set up geofencing, for example, so I could automatically trigger a workflow when I come home. You know, the limits are boundless. Okay, I've kind of given the game away by telling you what the workflow does and how it works. So let's try it out. So I'm going to pick up my phone here so you can see, and there I am. And I'm going to go to it's my Stream Deck down here. I'm just going to switch it to demo mode. There we go. And then I've got one button in demo mode. It says bioinformatics. So it's push button bioinformatics. That's a joke. I'm going to press that. Okay. And then up here, we see that the Stream Deck event was noticed and launched. And now it's monitoring a workflow, and that's sent through, and it's set the light color. The lights are now orange. So it worked. I launched a pipeline. And if I go over here onto my runs page on Seqera platform, if I refresh the page, there we go, you can see our new workflow has been submitted. So we created a run here by push button bioinformatics using my Stream Deck, which is a third-party automation trigger. Now I'm going to put my phone over here and we'll watch what happens as it progresses. I'm going to speed this up because we have to wait for the workflow to run for a little bit. Oh, I failed. That is very dramatic. So, as you can see, all the lights have gone red because it hasn't even updated on the Seqera platform page here. There we go. The workflow failed. And there was a validation error. So it just, as soon as it launched, it crashed basically. Yeah, all my lights flashed red, which is kind of cool. So it worked. Okay, let's see if we can have a successful run this time. So I'm going to think up the most ridiculous example I can possibly think of. Okay, I'm going to go over to the terminal, and that's that tab. I'm going to go in here. I'm on the demo one. I'm going to do nextflow run doom. If you didn't see this social post a little while ago, it's this little Easter egg that we've got for you. And I'm going to run it with tower like this, so that my local run of Nextflow, because I have to run this locally, it doesn't work on cloud because it's interactive. My local run of this pipeline is going to show up in platform. And then the pull workflows is actually filtering for only new workflows with the search term doom. So let's see what happens. I updated this workflow slightly for this demo. So, oh, there we go. Got some nice artwork. We can play some Doom. Oh, and the pipeline's running, so the lights just went blue. And this is really, really difficult to do with the touchpad. Let's see if I can do it. I'm going to go for ultra hard mode. The touchpad wants to run off. That did not last long. Not good enough for Doom. So I'm going to quit Doom, and that's going to be a successful pipeline run, even though it's insulting me a little bit at the end. And then, hey! We get some confetti on screen, all the lights flash green because the pipeline run worked successfully. And that is the end of my totally ridiculous demo of Node-RED in Home Assistant with Doom. Hope you enjoyed it.